I should bring up the YouTubes.
Do I have time to eat a couple Laffy Taffy?
Sure.
I like them with the skins on.
Me too. It's where all the nutrients are.
Yeah, you guys remember? Do they still put jokes on these? Do you remember they used to have Laffy Taffy jokes on them, and they were always like really.
They still do.
They do. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
They're awful. They're all awful.
A priest, a rabbi, and a whore walk into it. That's not right.
No.
That's not great.
Inappropriate.
I need to do my audio. Testing. 1, 2, 3. I am talking. I think I'm
Here
okay.
It is. How do potatoes resolve fights?
I don't know. How do potatoes resolve fights?
They're all ears? I don't know. That's corn.
They hash it out.
Oh.
They hash it out. Now, back in the day, they used to attribute these jokes to people who would write them in. They'd be like, Karen G. from Idaho. Because it's a potato joke. But now they don't have names.
I get you.
Yeah. Karen was great.
All right.
Okay.
Am I? I guess I'm hosting this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was your idea, wasn't it?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's not how we do this necessarily.
Yeah, when has ever worked that way? I need an opening line.
I love the level of preparedness that we all bring.
Yeah.
I've given you, on any given week, for everybody who's listening, on any given week, I give everybody at least 4 or 5 good opening lines. And then Shard swoops in at the last second, says whatever he wants, and that's what we go with.
Wait.
Only because he's smarter.
I've got one for you, Jake.
More attractive.
Successful. We come up with a gem of an opening line today on.
What happened to what did I say earlier?
These nuts, yeah.
No, what was the one I said earlier that was very hard to pronounce? It was the himmening jimmenings.
Yes.
Oh.
I came up with that in the Marco Polo. You could see the exact moment that inspiration hit.
The himmening jimmening. I can't even say it.
Guys, we're live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, folks.
Okay.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Before we start, who's going to go first with our pick, just so I know ahead of time? Since
sure.
You want to go first? Okay.
Why not?
Whoever you call on, yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. I haven't done the YouTube thing in a while, so hold on.
Hey, for those that are watching the stream already, you're getting to see how the sausage is made.
All 5 inches.
Today on. Don't talk over the intro.
Okay.
This is the Patreon content right here.
Oh yeah, yes. This is gold right now. Speaking of gold, digging through a pile of dirt for those hidden gems, and no, not Circus Charlie. Today on.
Stop that.
Don't talk over the intro.
Hinnebing's Gin and Eggs.
Hibbity jibbity.
Doesn't land. We'll fix that in post. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Press B to cancel your favorite podcast for the next 5 minutes, if I can believe the YouTube algorithm and SEO. 5 minutes. So today is another episode we got planned for you guys, and we're going to be talking about hidden gems. Now, I know that we did that in the past before, back when we did, audio-only episodes, but there's plenty of games out there, both new and some old, that are just, games that don't get enough love or attention. Games that we think you may not even have heard of. I know my pick was surprising to myself. So we're going to go through some hidden games this week, and not by myself. No, never alone. I'm joined by 3 good friends. GP, how you doing this week?
I'm doing good. Thank you. It's good to be here. Thank you for having me back.
And we checked those audio levels for nothing.
No,
and Sistar, how are you doing this week?
Oh, okay.
I also am doing well. Thank you for asking.
Oh, I hate you guys. And Werewolf, how you doing this week?
I am doing better than I expected I'd be, seeing as I've been feeling like garbage all week.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what's not garbage. Our 4 picks this week. All right, so we're gonna get right into it. Yeah, this is
that would be debatable if Chard were here.
Oh boy, yeah. If he was here, he would just pick his hidden gem would be Elden Ring, and we'd argue that for 45 minutes. So we're better off not with him this week. It's fine.
No. His hidden gem is the story inside of Elden Ring.
It's so buried. Circus
Yeah.
Charlie might have more plot than Elden Ring, but anyway.
I think
All
so.
right, Sinistar, how about you kick us off first? What game do you want to bring to the table, talk about as your choice of hidden gem?
Sure. So I looked at the quantity of reviews for this game on Steam. It's a modern game, and I don't know that it's hidden gem, but everybody I've spoken to has not heard of this game. But it has like something like 70 or 90,000 positive reviews. Anyway, I'm bringing to the table Gunfire Reborn.
So, have you played this one before?
Oh yes.
Okay. So
Well,
okay.
Yeah, I've played quite a few hours of it actually. I play this. I've done this. I have a family game night on Wednesdays, and it is a co-op first-person shooter roguelite, and it's great.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
It looks like Spyro. Like the animation type looks like Spyro.
yeah, it very
Yes.
much does. Yeah. So basically, the simplest concept is you go basically from area or room to room. You have to defeat all of the enemies in each room to progress. You earn new weapons, or you earn these things called elite scrolls, which modify portions of the game. You beat a boss, and then you progress to the next area, and eventually you make it. I think there's 4 areas, and then the end boss, if I remember right. Don't
Okay.
quote me on that, but I should remember. I've played hours and hours and hours of this, but I don't know if this is truly hidden. But it was hidden to me. I found it looking for a co-op game to play with my family, and it was buried down in the list of Steam co-op games.
So like I've never heard of this one before, actually. I mean, I played roguelike first person shooters. I played Ziggurat quite a bit, but that's not co-op. This looks pretty rad. Why are you a cat? Is that a class?
Yeah, so it's characters. I guess it's a class, but they're characters by name. And each player can be any of the characters. It's not like one that's picked, makes it so another person can't play that character. Because when you start the game, I think you literally have one choice.
Okay.
Is it a Probotector?
It is absolutely
In Europe, yeah.
Yeah. Contradictory to Probotector, it's not. No, it and then as you earn, you earn unlocks in the game. You earn unlocks as you level, and then you can also purchase unlocks via earned in-game talent. They call them talent points.
TP?
And that's where, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's TP for sure. That's where the roguelite function comes in.
Right.
There are, much like Vampire Survivors, you purchase unlocks that enhance every character, but then each character also has their own. It's just a straight skill tree. It's step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not like I guess it's not a tree. It's a skill line, but the rest of the enhance everything is a skill tree. So
What's the variety of enemies and bosses like? Is it pretty samey, or is there a good variety?
There's a good variety. You get people, you get grenadiers, you get spear people that come up and try to stab you. You get big boss, or well, I guess I kind of look at them as kind of a mini boss that have, giant shields that deflect most of your damage until you can either get around them or defeat their shield, or some sort of enhancement will do additional damage. And then certain enhancements will make it so that when a character explodes, I'm looking at it right now, they will actually turn into a little beetle as they die and they come at you. That's a modifier in the game that happens depending on the area you're in. And then there are elites. Yeah, then there are elites that, obviously are large and have some sort of modifier. Some of them will be stealth where you can't see them. Some will be just, extreme hit points. Some will have large weapons, etc., etc. And then there are boss types that are they're hard. They're genuinely hard. And then of course, much like every roguelite, you select your difficulty, all the way up through nightmare or whatever the craziest levels are.
Nice.
So yeah.
This is
Yeah.
actually a game I've looked at a few times as something to move on to with my buddy when we're done playing Ship of Fools, because we finish a game and we move on to a new one. And this is one I was looking at, but I'm on the fence about it because he gets motion sickness with first-person shooters.
And this is fairly. I mean, depending on what causes the motion sickness, I think you can turn off things like, motion sway or whatever you call it. I can't remember.
Head bobbing and motion sway are really bad for him. So,
but it also is pretty frenetic, and so if making fast turns and stuff will make him ill as well, it's probably ill-advised. But it's a blast. It's absolutely a blast.
You don't want to have.
Sorry, there was a spider dangling from a microphone. I just had to pull it off.
Wow,
that's
a spider?
Yeah, that's what this was.
Wow.
Well, that's terrifying.
Like, squeeze it to death.
No, I just grabbed the string and just kind of put him on his way.
You just
so he's okay.
Away to wander
yeah, he's okay. My heart's not, but the spider's okay. Don't worry.
Okay,
man, that'll haunt me tonight.
Yeah.
Did anybody else see this spider? I mean, how big was this guy or gal? Spiders
he's
can be
like,
gals.
I don't know. He's a good size. They grow big up here in Canada.
Live?
They eat other bugs. I mean, we don't have any, but if we do, then I know that they would get eaten by this sucker. I don't kill spiders. The one bugs I don't mind. They freak me out, but I don't mind them.
I'm sorry. I would take off and nuke it from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not that bad. I used to be the one who would catch them and take them outside.
Yeah.
But Wife Wolf is so terrified of spiders that I can't do that anymore. I just have to smash them.
Okay.
Well,
can I implement or at least posit a new rule or regulation for the channel? And maybe we can have chat where people in Discord vote on this for us. From now on, if ever there's a spider on one of our cameras and we need to get rid of them, you can't do one of these. You can't be, I'm not advocating murdering the spider, but if you're going to, at least do some sort of like power move from like, wrestling, throw down some elbows. Like the only way to do away with it is give it one of those. That way, when we see it, it's not this. It's it's an action shot.
Excuse me while I tombstone this bug. Just give me a few minutes.
Right.
the diamond cutter.
Oh boy.
Start throwing up eyebrows.
Woo!
Oh boy. Okay. Well,
I mean, if you can smell what the
the spiders.
So getting back to to getting back to gunfire. So the unlock tree is great. The weapons are fantastic. You start out with just basically your standard pea shooter. It's just a little machine gun. You always have it, and the nice thing is that one always has unlimited ammo, but it's just a pea shooter. So you can then carry 2 other weapons, and as you progress through the game, you unlock other weapons. There are some weapons that, one of my favorites is you've all seen Fifth Element, right?
Oh yeah.
There's the part where what's his name is showing his crates of weapons, and he shoots the thing, and then he turns around and shoots, and all the bullets fly back to the thing, and he says my favorite or whatever, right? You have that gun in the game. That is an unlock. You have melee weapons, you have sniper weapons, and these are all unlocks. And then some of the weapons are clever. There are some that are like there's a little lizard that you squeeze and it belches rapid fireballs and there's the animations are great. It's colorful. It's one of the things that drives me nuts about Call of Duty is everything's gray and brown, right? In Call of Duty.
More and brown and more bloom.
Yeah. And this is colorful. So and the bosses are epic. And some of the bosses are epically frustrating. So
watching the gameplay footage, this looks really colorful, really cartoonish, really awesome style. The it looks like it controls really well too.
Yeah, this is a boss that they're working on right now. Right. And the controls are incredibly smooth. On top of your regular weapons, some weapons will have an alternate fire. And then you also have a secondary ability, and depending on the character, some characters freeze them in place. Those are those chains that you see coming out. Other characters launch a grenade or something like that. It's based on each character. So the unlocks are great. We've been playing for hours and hours and hours, and I'm still definitely unlocking in this game. So,
and you know what? That's one of the great things about this kind of game, like roguelikes, is they're usually not full price. They're usually fairly inexpensive. And the roguelike aspects to it just give you so many hours of gameplay and keeping things fresh and different every time. And especially, he's back. What the fuck, dude?
Oh, I see him.
Oh.
No, elbow.
I
Do
see
the
him.
elbow. Oh no! Okay, hold on.
All right,
Oh.
Kate.
He's
go.
on a mission.
Yeah.
Jesus, he wants to be heard.
Did he go? Because I just saw him fall down, and I'm afraid he's in your lap now.
I threw
No,
him
I
over
saw
there.
him go off to the side there.
God,
Oh,
what the hell?
Bring him back. We need a special guest.
Sorry.
My brother brought up the run tactic. So the run tactic is treated differently than most first person shooters. It's not a simple hold shift or tap shift and you get to run permanently. It is a dash action. Like it is tap it and you dash forward a certain amount, and then there's a refill period or a reload period. You can get scrolls that will enhance that. Some of them will give you, like, say 3, so that you can do 3 in a row. Some of them will change the amount of time for it to refresh, etc. But
I love that.
Yeah. This looks like an awesome pick. I've never heard of it myself personally. I don't know. So Wolf, you said you've heard of it but never played it. GP, was this ever a game on your radar or no?
No, I mean, I've played Spyro and I've played Metroid Prime, so kind of.
Yeah, like visually, this looks like somewhere between Spyro and Borderlands, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It looks pretty good.
I dig the hell out of this, and I'm going to be 100%. I have been jonesing to get into a first-person shooter as of late, with all the reviews and things I've heard coming out from the Metroid Prime remaster that just got released. So this might take me off that path of something I've played a million times to something new and fresh, and I like that.
How many players is this one?
it's up to 4, and it is co-op.
Online, nice.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if we don't tell Chard, maybe we can. I'm kidding. We wouldn't do that. But he's in chat.
Is he?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like I would pick some sort of game and then start some sort of server that you guys play, but I don't play or something like that. So I'm not upset.
You're welcome to play Valheim whenever you want, GP.
Yes.
We'd love to have you in Valheim.
That's probably what I'll have to do before I play this. But honestly, this looks like a beautiful game. And as somebody who can appreciate a good first-person shooter,
Chard's over there. I'm right here. Kill me. Come on, do it. Do it now. So I'm looking the base price. It's not on sale right now, but the base price is $20, and it does look like there's a DLC. And I haven't played the DLC. So
nice.
Yeah.
No, this looks like a great one to check out. I'm definitely going to check this one out. $20 is totally worth it. And oops, all my windows closed. And the graphics, it sounds really good. The replay, online co-op, that's freaking awesome. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I have 40 hours in the game. I've played for 40 hours, and I'm still doing
pretty
unlocks.
good for $20.
Yeah.
Like really.
Yeah, that's 50 cents an hour, right?
Yeah. All right.
Chard, no. If anything else, Chard is in chat trying to say that I want him fired. If anything, he needs a promotion where he can be second in command right under Daddy. I mean Jake. And
don't call me Daddy. Fuck's sake.
Wow.
I'm on fire. It's fine.
Just have a list. Not tyrant, not daddy. Just okay.
So I'm gonna stump a little bit here and say, if you're listening to this or watching this on YouTube, and you have heard of this game, please let us know in the chat or comments. We also have a Discord. I want to know who's heard of this, because it has a lot of reviews, but everybody I've talked to has been like,
I was kind of confused because you were like, this is my hidden gem, and I looked it up and I was like, 70,000 reviews on Steam.
But I had to
greatest secret.
But
I had to dig through a co-op list to get to it.
Yeah. To be fair, that's how I came across it. I was like, okay, what's a good co-op game I can play with my buddy?
Yeah.
And I had not heard of it. I found it like that. It's never been pushed to me, even though I play a lot of roguelites.
Right.
It's not something I've seen mentioned or played on YouTube. So I don't know. It's just
Yeah. My family did something similar where my brother, myself, and a bunch of our cousins wanted to have some sort of online multiplayer experience that like once a week. This was a year or two ago. We haven't been able to do this for a while. And I wish we had found something like this because what we ended up falling on was Jackbox. And then we ended up just doing TKO over and over.
Yeah.
And you learn way too much about people in your orbit when you play that game. And apparently nobody in my family can run for any sort of office ever because they're all degenerates. And I'm not
what's the Jackbox with the puppets and they get murdered as they
Trivia Murder Party.
Yeah, murder trivia.
Murder Party.
Yeah. Love that game. That game's fantastic. Yeah.
It's yeah. But anyway, I wish we had something wholesome like this, is what I'm saying.
Instead of murder.
Instead of murder.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. So that's Gunfire Reborn. Gunfire Reborn.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check that one out.
Very well hidden.
Who's next? GP, I'm gonna save you for last because your pick is a good one. So let's wait to your last.
Is this because of the daddy thing? Because I just barely meant that.
Look, stay in your corner and just wait. Okay, eat your peas. Werewolf, how about we do you next? Okay, what's your hidden gem?
All right, so mine. Let me preface this by saying it is a prequel to a game that I think more people have played than I realize, called the game that I'm. So let's start with Beyond Oasis for the Genesis. It's a Zelda,
great game,
right? And as I understand it, a lot of people played this. Well, it got a prequel on the Sega Saturn called Legend of Oasis, and I didn't know that for years after I got the Saturn game.
Yep.
And I fell in love with the Saturn
a prequel?
Game.
It was. Yeah.
Yes.
Wait, you had the game, but you didn't realize it was a prequel.
Yeah, I had this, and I did not know it was a prequel to the Genesis game.
Okay.
I had never heard of the Genesis game.
Oh,
so
that's a bit different. Yeah.
I mean, that helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny that I've played the one that I refer to as a hidden gem, but I've never played the Genesis one. And a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, that's a great game, the Genesis one. Well, this is probably a lot like the Genesis game, but the sprites, like you can see in the video here, the sprites are actually really big. You can kind of call it a Zelda-like because you don't have like solid hit points or anything. Instead of you have a health bar and a magic bar and all that. But the mechanics are pretty cool. There's a lot of puzzle solving. You can use enemies or delayed spells or whatever to trigger things that you need to trigger, like switches or events or whatever, to time certain things. And it's hard to tell from the video, but it actually has vertical platforming in it to a degree. So there's different layers of floors. Yeah. And sometimes it messes with you because you don't realize it's there. But they try to be pretty clear about when there's a height difference. It's just sometimes you can't always tell if you're on the higher or the lower. So falling off can end up being frustrating at times. But this game, it does a lot of really cool stuff. It's got a lot of really neat mechanics where you can strike weapons back at enemies and hurt them with their own stuff. You actually end up getting 6 different summons throughout the game.
Oh.
Various, like there's a Freet, there's a plant one, there's an ice one, there's a bunch of them, right? Shade, air. And to summon them, you would actually use a light ball from your character's bracer and strike it against something. And depending on what you strike, that will determine what's summoned.
That's pretty cool.
So you have to be in the vicinity of something to be able to summon that. You got to strike something that's a plant to summon the plant summon. You got to strike fire to summon a Freet and so forth. Water for the water one. I think the iron ball is shade, things like that. It's really neat. And they all have different abilities. And there's actually a cheat code you can put in to play a 2-player mode where one person controls the main character, Leon, and the other player controls the summon.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I like that.
But I mean, it's a cheat code. You have to enter a cheat code to play 2-player, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
A lot of the moves and mechanics in this game are somewhat sort of fighting game combinations that you enter to do those moves. So it's button combinations to make certain abilities and actions happen, which is not a standard thing for an overhead action RPG for sure. Also, the music is dynamic based on whether you're in combat or not or other things. So the music will change in the area based on what's going on around you. So it's got a lot of cool stuff that I had not seen before when I played this game at, I don't know, 13, 14 years old. Like, this was rad.
The movement reminds me of like the rotoscoped games, like the movement of the character, but put it on an X and Y instead of just a Y axis, right?
Yeah, the animation in this game is excellent. Like it looks like a cartoon kind of. Like that's the quality of the artwork in this. It's I think they actually put that on the box, that it's all like quality hand-drawn art. Yeah, unbelievable hand-drawn animation is the term they use.
Yeah, like the Genesis game Beyond Oasis had a really smooth cartoony look, but this is that times 5. Like it's everything but Beyond Oasis, but ramped up quite a bit more on the Saturn. This looks rad. I've heard of this, but I never did play it. I did like Beyond Oasis Genesis quite a bit, but this looks even better in every possible way. I really should play this one. Like this looks amazing.
Everything I've read about this says it takes what worked in Beyond Oasis and improves on it.
Yeah.
And so that's part of why I've never gone back to play Beyond Oasis. First, I've never beat this. Second, like I feel like it would be a letdown, because trying to go back to play Disgaea 1 after playing 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever, it's so difficult to go back to the previous systems that were not quite as tightly tuned. And I feel like that's what Beyond Oasis would do, or Legend of Oasis would do to Beyond Oasis. Like I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah, I will say too about the combat in these games. It's like Zelda-like you said, with a little bit of beat 'em up added for good measure, and the combos and whatnot. It's a very unique game, and this is one of those games where, where's the sequel? Like, why did Sega not do a sequel to this franchise, right? I mean, on the Dreamcast or later on. This would kill as a sequel.
Yeah. I think Beyond Oasis only sold marginally well. And then Legend of Oasis, because it was on the Saturn, really didn't sell. Like, I'm probably one of 9 people who bought it, right?
out of the 27 people that bought Saturns.
Yeah, basically. Like, this was probably not a common purchase for Saturn owners, which were already not a common thing. So
and that's the thing with Saturn. Saturn, I know it was technically a 3D platform, but it never did 3D that great. It was always for me a 2D system, and games like this are why. This looks straight out of a cartoon. This is almost like Aladdin, but overhead view, and it looks really fantastic. And if the music is like the Genesis game at all, then it's probably slaps. Like this looks really awesome.
It's the same composer, because the composer was the guy who founded the development studio Ancient. And so he did the music for all the games they've done. Okay.
Do they still make games, this company? I have to check on my bells.
The last one they released was 2019, but it seems like they're like every few years to release one. So it's not a quick turnaround.
Follow me on this. Prince of Persia meets Goof Troop. Or was it Goof Troop from the SNES? No.
Yeah.
It's the same angle, top-down puzzle game. Insanely fun. I always enjoyed that game. And this seems like, okay, if that's maybe a little too young for you, this might be, a good way to play something similar. But with the updated theming, or not updated, but a little bit more mature theming, I'm here for it. I think it looks great. And I like the 2 games it reminds me of. So, I'd give it a shot. No alcohol required.
It's also pretty cool. Like the 2-player aspect is really neat. If you've got someone to play 2-player with, it's a lot of fun. But you gotta wait. Yeah, you gotta have the cheat code. But you gotta wait. Like, I don't think you get your first summon for like the first hour, so you can't play 2-player right away. It takes a little while. But
when your friend's home doing chores, and you're like, "Hey, can you come play?" And they're like, "No, my mom says I have to vacuum the stairs and clean the kitchen." You're like, "Okay, I'm going to start this now. I'll see you in an hour." Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of their games.
I was the friend home doing the chores, by the way.
Yeah, why did vacuuming the stairs suck more than every other chore ever?
Oh my gosh.
It wasn't that
right? Well, I'm not alone on that one.
I actually don't mind doing it here. I don't mind it. I don't know why it's such a terrible thing, because I'm like, all right, it's time consuming, but I don't if I'm vacuuming the stairs, I'm not vacuuming the whole house. It's like it's stairs day.
I had a dog. I had a dog that loved the vacuum cleaner, especially because I would do the stairs with the little hand vacuum, and so the dog would chase me down the stairs and just wait for me to like vacuum its fur, and yeah, it was great.
That's a cool dog.
This company, Ancient, was founded by Yuzo Koshiro, who everybody you may not know his name, but you know the games he's worked on. He did the soundtrack for Streets of Rage 2 and 3. Like he's
they developed
amazing
2 and
composer.
3.
Yes, yeah, that's awesome. They also did some other games more recently. The only one I recognize is Fusion Frenzy 2, but I haven't really seen anything recognizable otherwise. But yeah, they're a good
They
studio.
also did ActRaiser 2 specifically, not the first one, but the second one.
Right.
But wasn't ActRaiser 2 the bad ActRaiser?
Yeah, it's the one that's all the arcade style platforming and none of the sim status.
It's missing the populous portion, right?
Is that the one where they actually go to the world of the Cenobites and there's like you see the Leviathan thing? And
and then they
exactly.
some guy with like a bunch of pins in his head. We have such sights to show you.
Yeah.
And then they peel back their skin and it shows the face of Goofy. It just
I mean, spoiler alerts. Yes, if you're out there. Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Yeah, this game is awesome.
No,
I really want to play it.
This looks fantastic.
It makes me want to look up the Genesis one as well. I don't know that I would want to play that. This is probably where I would jump into it, but I'm curious to see what the other one looks like and what it sounds like as well, what the controls are like. Because this looked very
the Genesis
smooth.
one is like it's on all sorts of stuff. It's on the Genesis collections. Like I have the Sonic one at 360. It's on that. It's on the Genesis Mini, I believe. It's on the Genesis collection that's on Steam. So it just sucks that like the Genesis one has been ported to all sorts of platforms, and this one has never been on anything except Saturn. And this one outshines the Genesis one by far.
When I first started streaming, I played Beyond Oasis on stream, and it's a good game, but toward the end it gets a little bit grindy and repetitive. But I heard that this game has none of those issues. So, and it's a shame it's not been ported anywhere. That's just wild to me. But that's the Saturn in a nutshell.
Jake,
the Saturn's like the
I'm
Wii U
so
of the
sorry.
generation.
The spider's back on your microphone.
Jesus Christ! All right,
is it?
All right.
Oh, it is.
There he goes.
It likes the mic, man.
Yeah. Oh my god!
Wow! Oh, there goes the people's elbow. There goes the people's elbow.
If there has ever been a reason to transition from the audio downloads to the YouTube videos, it's there. I don't know what the minute marker is, but geez, that has to go on the reel. Season 2.
Why has he come back? I don't get
episode 40.
Yes.
Wow.
Look, some people are just in it for the attention.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe he's trying to get on the podcast.
Maybe. I don't know. Chard, I think you're fired. We're replacing you with the spider.
No, bring Chard back.
He seems to be more attracted to me. So what can I say?
Yeah.
There's nothing I'm going to have to say today that's going to be half as captivating as that darn spider.
Well, coming back to the game, this game does make me wish that the Saturn core for the Mister were more complete. And when it is,
soon.
I will definitely add this to my list.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this is one I had a lot of fun with.
All right. That's Legend of the Oasis on the Saturn. That's a good pick.
Fantastic, yeah.
All right, let me do mine then, GP, before the spider comes back with its.
Are you gonna do that thing where you're like, we're out of time, GP? Maybe next time. Are you gonna? What is it, Matt Damon? Are you gonna Matt Damon me?
Sorry, we don't have time for Matt Damon.
Notable listener to the podcast, Matt Damon. Yeah.
Did you all see? Did you all see the one where Matt Damon took over the background?
Yes.
No.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Matt Damon had his day. Anyway.
All right. So I've been playing a lot of arcade games lately. I've talked about it a lot. And there's a ton of arcade games I never even knew existed. And this is a game that I found out is not only in the arcade, but there's also an NES version. But I'm going to talk about the arcade game. And that's Legendary Wings for the arcade. I got to ask, have you guys even heard of Legendary Wings or no?
Yeah.
Sounds
have
familiar.
I've heard of, or am I thinking of the SNES whatever wing? Pilot Wing. I'm thinking of Pilot Wings.
Similar, like Goof Troop.
Oh yeah, Legendary Wings was on NES. So yes, I've heard of this one.
Was the box cover the guy with the wings?
It might have been, or a banjo. I don't know. So
Was
here's
he
the thing.
legendary?
Wings.
Let me
might
see
have
what I
been
can find.
legendary.
I'm thinking of Pilot Wings, but I think I know Legendary Wings as well.
So Legendary Wings is a shmup, and what's neat to me is this a Capcom game. I didn't know this is a Capcom title. Never even heard of this before. And so there is some alterations from the regions. The North American version took the Japanese characters and kind of rethemed them to two muscly men. In the original Japanese release, it was a male and a female. The female character, I think her name is Maria Hart, if I'm not wrong. No, not Entertainment Tonight. That's an old joke. But she's actually a cameo character in a few other Capcom games. Like I want to say Marvel vs. Capcom. She's one of the support characters. Yes, that's the cover for the NES game. Yeah. So the NES game is in true Nintendo port fashion is quite a bit different than the arcade game, but there is similarities. Right. So it's a shmup, and you one button shoot, one button throws bombs on the ground. And it's one of those where you have to take care of the enemies in front of you, but also the ones on the ground. What is neat though is that it's not insanely difficult. Most shmups are like impossible for me, or they're really not meant to be beaten without a fistful of quarters. I feel like this game feels beatable. It feels like a attainable goal to actually get somewhere in this game. But it's a really frantic action. There's a lot of enemies on the screen, and the music is unique for each stage. Freaking awesome. But what's cool though is you're playing the overhead view. About halfway through each stage, there's a big giant head. Stay with me here.
I've seen this game.
The head opens up, and you can avoid it if you want to, but if you go into the mouth of the big giant head and get swallowed, it turns into a side-scrolling platformer. It's not amazing. It's not Mario Brothers, but it takes the action to the side-scrolling plane, and you're kind of going through like a brief maze-like level, and it finishes with a small mid-boss. But in addition to that, there's hidden in each level, there's like something you can bomb. And when you bomb it, you go into it and you get a special stage where you pick up these treasure chests and you're kind of flying through that stage. So for a game like this that has different perspectives on gameplay is pretty wild to me. And they do a similar platforming thing at the end of every level with the boss. The only knock I have against this game, because it wouldn't be me picking a game unless I bash it, is that the bosses of each stage are basically the same boss. I think the very last boss is slightly different, but they all behave the same. And also, it's one of the games where if you max out your power-ups, you can pretty much shoot and kill every enemy in one hit, including the bosses. So it's not a difficult game is what I'm saying. But for me, that's a bonus. I love playing a shmup that I can actually beat. But music's fantastic. The sprites are really cool. And it's just a fun shmup I never even heard of before. And I think this is wild to me. So
I'm liking the little helmeted hair walkers that open up their mouth
yes.
and shoot the thing. It's great. I'm enjoying that.
So you're telling me there's a side-scrolling shmup where you can hit the top of the screen or the bottom of the screen without dying?
I know. What are the odds?
Yeah, so this is not made by the Silver Surfer people.
It's no R-Type either. It's no R-Type either.
Well, R-Type is a game I struggled with for months. And this is a game I feel like I could sit down and beat probably in an afternoon. I got quite far just playing through a couple times earlier this week. It's a fun one. So for those watching the YouTube video, here is the big giant head. And again, you can skip it if you want to, but if you want that high score, you're going to go into the mouth. But anyway.
Look, if you're familiar with Daedalus and Icarus and the Minotaur, this is the Steve's for you. This is top tier video game adaptations of old religions. And that's what I look for, personally, in my arcade cabinets.
Yeah, Genesis 10 is the part where they talk about the laser rifles. It's your biblical history.
So I think I'm going to refer to those big giant heads as the face on Mars. It's the face on Mars that you fly into. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
I remember seeing the face on Mars for the first time, and nobody could convince me that that wasn't put there by aliens. Now, I know this is a little off topic, but you guys have seen the show before. You know how this works. No. It's not really a face on Mars. It's a rock formation. That's exactly how the aliens would do it. They're not going to leave a building. They'd be like, no, we're going to build something. They're going to see this and be like, clearly this is aliens. Anyway, after the show, if you don't know what we're talking about, Google it. Or watch, was it Mission to Mars or one of those movies?
Oh, the bad Mars movie.
No, it wasn't bad. Gary Sinise? Come on.
It was terrible. The one with the aliens, they were really bad CGI.
No, you're thinking of
no,
Signs.
that's Red Planet.
Kidding. I love Signs.
I think you're thinking of
Shyamalan's.
No. Red Planet was the
Val Kilmer.
and the robot dog.
Which one was
not
Ghost
the
on
one
Mars?
Ghost, not the one with Val Kilmer and the robots, but the one with the really crappy aliens that come to Mars.
I don't know.
They came out like
I don't
within
know.
6 months of each other.
Legendary Wings.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't
Anyway,
know.
check
This-
out Legendary
this might
Wings.
be the one that
Yeah.
you're talking about. Let me.
Also, if you
Share
guys
this
are looking at the box art for the NES Legendary Wings,
Yeah.
I would like to point out one of those alien heads is in the background, but it looks like a cyborg Muppet.
Yeah, I kind of hear a noise, like an old person noise. as
Yeah.
it's-
Well, who are the guys who are sitting in the balcony?
critics.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that's him. But he's had some cybernetic updates.
Right.
He's Kano meets that guy.
This is the ultimate form of Kano. After he's lost a
Fatality.
fatality in Mortal Kombat, he's just a big giant head in the middle of the ocean.
Mhm.
That's wild. Anyway, Legendary Wings. Go check it out. The arcade version. NES version looked okay too, but the arcade really shines, I think. All right. Who's
is this
oh,
is this on the Mister? Is there a core on the Mister for this?
there is. This is one of the vertical course I can run on my machine until I get that new monitor.
Okay.
So that's why I've
Ooh.
been playing it a lot.
And the model for the character on the cover, Mark Pillow. That is a deep cut. I'm not going to explain it. We don't have time. Mark Pillow. It was in exactly one movie. No one cares.
Okay.
The voice of Goofy and Goof Troop, from what I understand.
And they rotoscoped him for that movie. It was great.
It's
Yeah.
awesome. All right,
Scope.
GP. So when I asked
Now I
for
wanna say a
hidden
couple
gems
things.
this week, when I asked for hidden gems,
Leading up to this, I know we're running short on time. If I can get through everything, we might be able to talk about it. When you first said, "Hey, we're going to do another hidden gems game," one game popped into my mind, and then I realized, oh, that's the game I did 2 years ago when we did the first one. And I want to pat myself on the back for not realizing that, remembering it right away. But also, I want to high five my younger self from 2 years ago, because I apparently nailed the hell out of that one, because I still feel this way. And that one was Metal Storm, which we
Oh,
talked about.
I've seen you play that a lot.
It's a great game that everybody should know about, and some people do. It's probably like your Sinistar, where nobody really knows about it, or if they do, they don't talk about it. But there's all these good reviews.
There's 70,000 good reviews of this game.
Right. But anyway, so that's not what I'm talking about today. And before I tell you what my pick is of today, I want to give you some other thoughts. Sick Jake, I promise we're getting there, buddy.
And just this, is this a hidden gem, GP? Because I'm not quite sure if it's
it is.
hidden.
Yes, it is. It is.
I'll let you talk.
It is. It kind of is. Final Fantasy VII. I'm kidding. No. Okay. So
The
growing
remake.
up, I loved Star Wars, but I didn't really get all the political intrigue and really the story. I like the action sequences, and I thought it was fun and sci-fi, and that's cool. So the game, the hidden gem, not Star Wars, but the same idea of like, there's a lot of dialogue, and a lot of it is political intrigue and backstabbing, and I don't really get it, but I like the action. And this game, are you ready? Is Final Fantasy Tactics for the PlayStation 1.
Hidden gem, Final Fantasy Tactics.
I'm sorry. How many times have we talked about Final Fantasy Tactics on this show? We are 400 episodes in. This is the first time anybody's mentioning it. It's a hidden gem. Nobody talks about it, but it's a great game.
GP,
I hope you're not
that
serious.
pick was so good. That pick was so good. You got my 5 head.
Look, I don't understand why y'all are hating on this. It's happening. This is my pick.
It's a
and
great
I don't think
game.
I'm wrong here.
It's just
a great
not hidden.
game. Okay. So are you saying that a hidden gem has to be buried so deeply in the bowels of Steam that it takes Sinistar just the luck of the draw to find it? Or is it, again, a game that is part of a major franchise that is worthy of a lot of love, but again, nobody talks about it?
This game
When's the last
sold
time?
2.4 million units worldwide.
Yes,
Just
in
for the
1990
PlayStation.
Yes,
That's
in
not including.
1997. In 1998, that unit count dropped to about 16.
That's not including the PSP release. That's not including the iOS and Android release. Dude.
Okay,
This
so
is
now that
not
I've got you all
hidden.
worked up, I want to
Gem,
talk to you
yeah.
about my real hidden gem, Metal Storm. I'm sorry. I yeah, okay. You can say what you want about the sales, and that's great. I would like to point out that there is another game earlier in this episode that had 90,000 positive reviews. Like, don't shit on, or don't. I mean,
at least nobody but me had heard of it.
I don't know what to say. They can't all be Circus Charlies, okay? But I'm sticking by this one. You can make fun of me all you want, and that's cool. And say it's hidden, say it's not. I just, and maybe I'm not a part of all the tactics forums, but I just don't know of a lot of people who talk about this game still. And if you've played it back in 97 and you haven't maybe played it in the past 20, 25 years, go back and play it because it holds up. And there are ROM hacks of it. And I understand you're saying, well, if there's ROM hacks, it's probably not a hidden gem. But hear me out. Eat a big one because it is. And it's a great game. And I think
it's a fantastic game. Yeah.
Yes. I'm glad you've heard of it.
Yeah, surprisingly, I have heard of this one. I mean, I've heard Chard no less than 5 times bash it on our podcast.
I know.
This is the game that defined a genre, for sure.
Defined a genre.
It did. The tactics games, this is the tactics game for the last 15 years at least. When this comes out on PlayStation.
Nobody talks about tactics games.
This and Ogre Battle are like...
Yes, Ogre Battle I think is the definitive one. Also, the reason I brought this one up is I wanted to be able to talk about it without Chard here because he would just tell me how bad it is. This is the only time.
He's still telling you how bad it is.
Now we've come down to brass tacks.
Now it has remakes. Jeff says it has remakes. He's totally right. It has 3 remakes. The Hidden Gem, Belfast Tactics, and 2 sequels.
Yes. Okay, no, the sequels don't count. Kind of like Ninja Turtles 3. Not really an actual movie.
Okay.
No, that's fine. It's all right, guys.
I'm gonna need more water for this conversation.
It's a great game. I love Final Fantasy Tactics. This is one of my favorite JRPGs on the PlayStation. I mean, this is one of the few I could actually go back and play, and the job system is freaking amazing. And it influenced so many games after it. That's how impactful it was.
Uh-huh. Sure. Here's a question for you, Jake. When I sent you the video clip for this several days ago, why didn't you say maybe this isn't as hidden of a gem as you think, GP?
Because I thought...
then I would have been able to pick up another one, and I could have saved myself all this embarrassment.
I was trying not to spoil it, so I was trying not to look at your guys' video. That's what I was trying to do.
So, for anybody who's not familiar with this game, and I'm sure a few of you out there are not, it's in the Final Fantasy family, but it's not part of the numbered sequence.
No, it's
not.
Essentially,
it is Final Fantasy chess, and that's all you need to know. Play it.
Yeah.
Thank me later.
Like,
it's a fantastic
if you threw a tactics game at us and we're like, oh, okay, Phantom Brave, La Pucelle Tactics, Eternal Eyes. There's so many tactics style games out there you could have brought in. But no, you bring like this set, like the most well-known.
Yeah, you
don't really play a lot of tactical games.
You bring the tactics game.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I guess I got to own this one and have some egg on my face. But I will say this: I've owned this game since it came out, and I played it 2 or 3 times when I was younger. Again, didn't really get it, but I've gone back within the past year, played through it again, and realized, man, this is a great game that is completely off my radar. So maybe I don't play enough tactics games. But yeah, so that's why for me, it was a hidden gem.
So what you're saying is you're part of the 2.3 million people that bought the game
in 1997.
Yep.
Oh my.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
It's a great gem. Hidden gem.
I don't know
folks.
that I've ever been this humiliated on the show.
You had to.
But,
you had to have known when you sent me that link. So don't
Cthusiast Jeff points out another fantastic hidden gem, Doom.
What's that game? Never heard that one before.
I hear you, but not Doom as we've all played it. Doom on the pregnancy test. You guys have seen that, right? Somebody put Doom on the pregnancy test.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not saying pregnancy test equates to... No, God dang it, guys. This is not my episode. I was upstaged by that fucking spider, and I'm really having a hard time recovering.
It's okay. This is a fantastic game. Everybody should play Final Tactics. If you even remotely like the tactics...
It sounds like everybody has played it. So.
Pretty much, yeah.
Chard just said a great thing in chat. He says we're expecting Doom.
Congrats, and I'm
Okay.
sorry.
All right. Before we wrap up,
I-
we have. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Can I throw in one more in there since Steve brought a Final Fantasy
A
Tactics
pinch
to the
hitter
table?
'cause this one's getting turfed. Yeah, sure.
Let's bring another modern one in. This is, and we don't have video for this one, but it's called Nobody Saves the World. And I think I mentioned it in passing on the podcast before.
You've pointed it out to me before. Yeah.
But yeah, I want to mention this again. It is a Zelda-like. It's another Zelda-like for me. Apparently, it's that kind of night. It's up to 4 players online, which is super cool. And you mix and match classes in this game. So it's got a job system. So it's tangent from both mine and GP's. Let's merge them, right? You unlock all sorts of classes from rat to dragon to bee to robot, zombie, mermaid. They're all there. Like there's tons of classes. You could be a fucking egg in this game.
An egg. What?
An egg. And you can cross mingle their moves to create your own sort of perfect class or to overcome the obstacles that you're given. And the fact that you can mix and match abilities to your classes and even passives, like it's really wild what kind of stuff you can do and how overpowered you can get by the end of the game. But it's got a great sense of humor because it's from Drinkbox Studios, the same as Guacamelee.
Yeah, Guacamelee.
Oh, okay. Right.
And like it's got this really dramatic sort of world that it's built, but plays fast and loose with everything, right?
Nice.
So it's a lot of fun. Highly recommend. Great for multiplayer night. If you play 2 to 3 hours a session with your buddies, you're probably looking at a good 10 sessions if you get the game and the DLC.
Nice.
I always enjoy a game where if you play enough of it, you can really get OP'd. And it reminds me of a game that I used to play called Final Fantasy Tactics. And there's a job tree. And
guys, can I bring
never
up?
mind. You guys have all.
Can I bring up another hidden gem for y'all?
Please. We apparently have extra 15 minutes because I
Super Metroid on the SNES.
Huh? Never heard that one.
You play this character. We're unclear whether it's a boy or a girl named Samus, and you're alone on this planet. Yeah.
All right. Before we wrap up, we are doing the Press B's top 100 games you need to play before you press B and cancel your life, I guess. I don't know. So we're doing a top 100 list later this year, and we got to nominate our games for the list. I don't know if you guys have thought about that this week, so let me do mine real quick, and while you guys think about yours really fast. So for me, Nintendo Game Boy, Donkey Kong, or most commonly called Donkey Kong 94, because it does share a name with the original arcade classic. And even the first few stages are like the original arcade game. But this Game Boy title, after the first few stages, opens up to a 9-world, 100-stage puzzling platformer. And it's freaking amazing. It is, I think, one of the top 5 games on the Game Boy. Donkey Kong is amazing. It's just all 100 stages are really crafted really well. There's controls are really tight. There's multiple moves from Mario, from backflips to triple jumps. Stuff that I've said in past episodes I think helped influence later Mario titles. Donkey Kong is a game you can't miss on the Game Boy. I think it's one of those fantastic titles. And even when you put it up against SNES games, I think it stands apart on its own. And there were sequels, kind of, with the Mario and Donkey Kong franchise, but it's not the same. The original Donkey Kong game, I really wish they did something similar to this one. So that's my pick for the top 100. Who else has Sinistar? You said you had your pick?
I do. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick one that I think everybody's going to agree. Tetris.
Which
Tetris
version?
is a top.
Yeah.
I'm good with original NES, honestly.
Okay. Which one? 'Cause there's two.
not two.
No, there's Tetris
original,
on Tengen, and there's Tetris, and yes, there's the Nintendo version. There's 2 of them.
Oh boy, I
Yeah.
don't know which one I've played. I mean, what's the difference?
One has multiplayer, I believe, and one doesn't. And I'll have to look this up. But
Okay,
Tetris,
well-
I 100% agree with you. We just got to figure out which version. I love Tetris. Like for me,
Yeah,
it was the Game Boy version, but I love Tetris.
Yeah,
so.
for me, it's Game Boy as well.
I mean, introduced basically everybody in the world to like Russian music, and it's
Yeah.
great, Plus the concept, what do they call them, tetronymos or whatever they
Tetronomos. It's like dominoes in Tetris.
I mean, I still play this today. I went and bought the version Tetris Evolved or whatever, and what's funny is I always go back to the base rules, but I like one modern change that was made at some point, which is the ability to store one piece. That's the one change that I like from the original, is the ability to swap out a piece and have one in your pocket, as it were. But otherwise, I like the standard rules. I like I am one of these people that I feel bad if I don't always chase just all Tetrises, So yeah. But I love this game, and really, honestly, I feel like it probably was or is the puzzler, that defined kind of the puzzle genre, right?
Yeah, I know somebody in our Discord was talking about Dr. Mario. I think it was Electro Maestro is their name, and
yeah,
Dr. Mario
is great.
It's great, but it never clicked for me. For me, when I look at like that style of puzzle game, it's always been Tetris. I love Tetris. Like. The speedrunning community is wild to see how they do the tapping now for controls on Tetris. It's just wild to see. It's a really great game. Yeah.
I love watching people hold their controllers in the weirdest positions to play, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
So Tetris is my nomination, and we're gonna go with the probably the original release, maybe the Tengen. I don't know.
Well, we can update it later, but definitely Tetris on Nintendo then for sure.
Yep.
Okay. GP, you want to go next?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what game I'm not going to nominate.
Tactics.
Yes.
That's a good one, though.
Let me switch this up real quick.
But it's a hidden gem.
Yeah, I would never put it on the 100 list because I thought it was a hidden gem. No, I feel like I need to be the person to nominate some sports games because I don't see I don't see you guys really doing much sports. So while I have a whole lot of games I would love to put on there, I feel obligated to represent that niche. So last time I had done Pole Position, which is a racing game. This time, there's another 3 or 4 I think we'll go on there. But I want to make sure NBA Jam gets put on there.
Yeah,
you can do the arcade, you can do the Super Nintendo, which was how I was introduced to it. But it was I
love that game.
Yeah, it's a classic. It's great. And
I always liked turning on Big Head mode. Big Head mode was my favorite.
Big Head. Yeah. There's you can type in cheat codes and play as you can be George Clinton from Funkadelic.
Yeah,
like how cool is that?
Yeah. Or Ryan,
and then the Dick Vitale style background vocals. He's on fire, baby. All that kind of stuff was so fun. And it's one of the ones I've got like the tournament edition for the Super Nintendo, and you can go back and play it, and it's still so great, and was ported everywhere. The Super Nintendo, the Genesis, on newer consoles since then. I don't know what kind of ROMs are out there, or hacks are out there for it. People have updated it for.
There have been people update the stats on the players and replace players.
Yeah.
Arcade One Up did a Shack Edition cabinet, which I'm not a huge sports game fan, but NBA Jam is one of those titles that's just fun. Even if you're not into sports, it's just a fun game to play, and I consider that cabinet.
It's like NFL Blitz in the arcade. Yeah. Like you don't have to know football to go play NFL Blitz in the arcade, right?
Yeah, NBA Jam kind of took what Jordan versus Bird for the NES was trying to do and really perfected it. Right?
I played that on the Apple too.
But it was I think NBA Jam was 3v3 or 2v2, something like that.
2v2 NBA Jam.
Yeah. So instead of 1-on-1, but it made the gameplay more dynamic. It made it more interesting. The fact that you could pick your players was really cool. Like it really capitalized on that niche concept and exploded it tenfold. It's great.
Yep.
Yeah. And I kind of feel like NBA Jam is to basketball games what the Harlem Globetrotters is to just basketball. It takes a thing that, like you said, even if you're not into it, you can play it and still have a good time. The ball catches fire, all these things. And if I remember right, depending what port you bought or which version you bought for which system, that determined what special characters were available. So you could get some characters on the Genesis, which you couldn't for the Super Nintendo. And even though it's gimmicky, I always enjoyed that kind of thing. Like if you remember Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters, which is probably more of a hidden gem than Tactics, depending on which version you bought or which console you bought, that determined what your cover art was. And I always thought that kind of thing was fun. So
great nomination.
That's my thing. I really enjoy.
Yeah, that's a solid title.
Great nomination.
Okay, Werewolf, how about you?
I am going to submit Crazy Taxi.
Okay.
And this is because this game basically spawned an entire genre of games. And it's still never been done better than Crazy Taxi, in my opinion.
I agree.
Simpsons Hit and Run was good, but it got old fast. And Crazy Taxi is a game I played for months and months and months. And, the fact that you could learn to really map it out and build up your score. And I mean, it was kind of the epitome of a score attack game for me. I've never played a score attack game that I've been more into than that one. And that's not to say I've not been into score attack games. They're generally not my jam, but Crazy Taxi really nailed it. And I mean, it's still getting imposters that are lackluster. There was Taxi Chaos last year, and it was apparently a total flop.
Didn't even hear about that one.
It's something that people are still trying to do well and can't. Yeah. And even Sega hasn't done as well as the first one. Like Crazy Taxi 2 was good, but it didn't have the staying power of Crazy Taxi 1. Crazy Taxi 3, also good, still not as good as 1. Like it just
didn't even know there was a third game.
Yeah, it's on the Xbox. It takes place in Vegas.
Yep.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yep.
Possibly a hidden gem, maybe. I don't know. I have to try that one out. That's a good pick. The first Crazy Taxi is definitely, you're right. There's nobody else who's done it quite like that. And I guess apparently even Sega hasn't been able to capture that magic again. And the first one's fun to play.
And they tried with other things too. That like they had one where you play as an ambulance. I think Sega did one that was an ambulance too. Like you were an EMT. I think they did one where it was a fire truck. Like they did a few. They were all arcade games. But between the frenetic getting there, stopping, turning around, going the other way with cab fares, and the punk rock music, like it nailed the feel and kept the game feeling constantly hyped up.
No, good picks. All right.
You know what the roughest thing about nominating games is stopping at 1 per episode.
Yep.
Well, yes, because we could easily fill a couple hundred of these, but we only have 100 spots. And as we get close to that upper limit, I think we're going to be really struggling to realize we're going to lose some. I
think we need to nominate more than 100, and then we need to have some shakeout. I think that's really
that was the idea.
Okay.
And I think I might be getting addicted to you guys not liking my picks, because I got to say, after that verbal lashing I got earlier, I'm like in that happy standoffish mood. So I want to, we'll see how the next few weeks go. I'm really excited for next month.
Are we getting argumentative GP back?
I don't know. Are you getting? Yes, of course.
I'm gonna put you in charge of the room. Make you fight it.
It's going to flow well into what we have in store for everybody all next month, which I don't know if we can talk about it yet, but I'm real excited for what's going to happen.
Maybe we'll just say that we're planning a series of bracket episodes in the very, very near future. We're just hashing out details. So if you're on our Discord,
burying the lead.
If you see,
I love it.
If you're part of our Discord, check out the Pressbeat Discord. Links on pressbeattocancel.com. We are be hitting you guys up for ideas on items to nominate for those brackets. So keep an eye out for that. And if you're an audio listener, check us out on all your favorite podcast apps, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music for some reason, or Spotify. We're everywhere. And of course, we're live on YouTube most Fridays at 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. Or you can catch our VODs there. So anybody want to shout anything out?
Tell your friends.
If you're watching us live, please hit the like button. That does help. Yeah. And hit follow or subscribe. let's start with you because you actually stream. So,
yeah.
what about you? What have you been doing lately?
I said this, I think, last time. I think I'm officially back. I'm only streaming one evening a week. Most Mondays, although I did a Tuesday this week because Monday was an anniversary of something. I am currently working through Chrono Trigger. I just beat Magus. Take your pick, but I beat him.
Did you use Robo in that fight?
No.
Okay, so good.
But you know who?
Remember this.
You know who?
When
You know
we do
who
an
else
episode of
I-
Chrono Trigger.
Robo.
You know who else I didn't use? What's her name? Isla. I didn't use Isla either.
We have to do an episode of Chrono Trigger. You have to beat this game, Sinistar. Like
I'm
soon.
working on it. I'm working on it.
Okay. GP, anything you want to shout out?
I think I mentioned this last time. I reloaded up onto the Retro Therapies YouTube page some of the old content videos from the channel. Not really trying to promote that, but I do want to point out, of all the videos that are on there, there's one video that has gotten like 100 times more views than all the other videos. And I think it's so bizarre because I don't know if everybody's just checking out this one video or if one person is just obsessed with this video. But it's so funny to me that those are there. But a lot of people have reached out and said, hey, man, if you can get those back loaded up sometime, we always enjoyed this. So we got those up now if you want to check it out at youtube.com/@theretrotherapy.
I loved the therapy bits. You ever had
ultimately I would love to do some more because I there's never a shortage of ideas for videos and content things. I don't know about doing more drum stuff in the near future, but I would love to get back and do some of the ones that we didn't quite get to before.
Yeah.
But thank you for saying that. It's very sweet.
Wolf,
a real hidden gem, that channel.
One of these days I'll start Final Fantasy VI and get that Bubsy video up. Keep saying I'll do it. I think I have time this weekend to do it, actually. So here we go.
If you can fit that game as a first full playthrough into a weekend, I think you've done it wrong. That game should be savored.
It's not a first full playthrough. I've played through the game before, just never beaten it.
Well, so yeah,
it's the definition of a Sisyphean game.
Yeah.
I've probably gotten to Kefka's, not tower, but where he's at.
His condo, yeah. Kefka's condo.
But I've gotten to that point in the game probably 3 or 4 different times. SNES, GBA, PlayStation, like all across the board. Just never beat him.
Well, you got it this time, man. I believe in you.
It's definitely a good one.
Okay, real quick. I'm sorry.
Gem picks.
Umaro, Mog, do one of his dances. Gao, and then who else can do the rando? But there's a squad of 4 people that you can have rando only. Just start the final fight and let it go. See how far you make it. It's a fun challenge.
All right. And I'm Sick Jake. You can find me on most social media under Sick Jake, no K in Sick. I was messing around with TikTok this week because I was bored. Check me out on TikTok. Otherwise, I am going to get back to Battletoads. I've been working to get some free time, but I had the kids for a week, so working on it. But yeah, I still have to work through my Sisyphean game. Maybe in a few months we can do a Sisyphean catch up to see where everybody's at. Also, GP, you got to start that Sonic Xbox 360 game some point soon for the Wheel of Pain. Yep. I'm looking forward to that.
I need to load up the playthrough of Sonic 2 because that was the OG Sisyphean for this year. So I'll get that loaded up once I get that edited. And then everybody also, since he's not here, check out twitch.tv/Chardmonk.
Yes.
The missing 5th tonight. But yeah, he's great.
He's working through.
I picked some fights with him earlier tonight on the show, so I should wrap him in.
He's working through the 303 Chivo set for Final Fantasy IV on the PSP, which includes the after years. And he finished the initial portion today. He finished Final Fantasy IV. Yeah. So he's now on to the interlude and then the for years.
Yeah. Final Fantasy IV, great game. After years, not so much.
A game.
Yeah, but Chard's always a good watch on Twitch. Make sure you check him out. All right. All right. So we have been Press B to Cancel. We'll see you guys next week.
The last hidden gem is in captivity. The podcast is at peace.